where this week we realized the Borderscape Improvisations from analog music to live coding workshop. The Borderscape Improvisation from analog music to live coding was the last workshop of a larger project, which is Improvisation Composition, the double identity of European music, about the practice of improvisation in different periods. We invited 3 teachers or experts, which was Alexandra Cardenas, Pier Alessandro Tremblay, and Walter Prati, to work with selected participants, also some of them very expert practitioners, to rehearse and to improvise together in these 3 different practices.
This is the last workshop that is programmed for this research project. We aim to have a kind of circular exchange of knowledge between different competencies, between composers, performers, musicologists. And in the case of the rhythmic body last week, also among different competencies in the field of the performing arts. Since improvisation is a topic which involved on many levels all the performing arts. So this is the perfect topic, one of the perfect topics to have interdisciplinarity.
We are going to build together the new content because it's not so common to put together the electronic musicians, electronic music composers, live coding practitioners and composers with the academical scholar research. That is something that is very demanding from our point of view because you develop your skills during the practice, and observing these skills and trying to build a theory of this practice is very demanding because we have to understand what are you doing and how specific is all the gestures, the process of improvisation.
I would like to make a proposal for us to explore, for instance, first like ambient sounds, very large soundscapes, so that we can more or less get used to each other's sounds. And that would be my proposal first for today. And then try something contrasting to that only, because already that for our instruments is such a thing to achieve in a few hours. Mm-hmm. So if maybe we can start with landscape and then something rhythmic or contrasting.
Today I was talking about this intersection of composition and improvisation. I've been working quite a lot on analyzing compositions that integrated some, let's say, improvisational space for humans, as well as for the technological part, algorithms. And this time I tried to change the viewpoint on this whole topic, tricking it more towards the perspective of improvisation. So if you look at all these constellations with the focus on improvisation, what does that mean for the constellations? And I outlined some schematic observations, so how are the compositional ideas integrated in performance setups, where do performers, musicians find their role in this setting, how do humans interact with technology, and especially this idea that technology always embeds artistic decisions that lead to certain ranges of action that humans can do with this technology. And this realm of action or interaction also, for me, is one part of outlining improvisational approaches within the setup of music technology in live performances.
We're practicing. You're observing practice. And because we mix, each of us is full stereo, full range, we give the power to everyone. We talked about auditory scene analysis. We talk about stream and mixing and perspective. So what we're trying to do is to play together the result, which implies various agency dances and everything. Did you guys have a moment of bliss or a moment that you remember that you really liked?
I just wanted to come, but I said no, it's better if I let you.
You know John Scofield, the guitar player, jazz guitar player. He's amazing to look at play because you can hear his mouth and his body is playing at least 400 times what he plays in reality. So first level of improv, I have a good idea. Second level of improv, shut the fuck up. So remove all those ideas. Are they really needed? So you've reached it because you didn't join in. So you're trying to build density, but you never really take over. Ways of taking over. It's not denser, it's not louder, it's not brighter, it's not more at the foreground. All those mixing techniques that are available to you. Now, I'm sorry, it sounds like I'm grilling you. I'm not. I gave you an opportunity. And if it was a gig, I would have not stopped nor do this savage thing. But we're practicing this taking over thing. And that was a good moment. So maybe let's do that. Let's try to play takeovers. We improvise, but if you have a gesture that you feel is strong enough to take, what time is it? Okay, we still have time. If you have a gesture that you feel is strong enough at the foreground at that moment, if you're at the foreground, you develop it to its end. So somebody else will have to take over and you drop it. But you kill it in an elegant way so we know somebody will just catch the ball.
I'm Luisa Santacesaria. I'm a musician, musicologist, and curator. I studied musicology here in Cremona, and I did a master thesis about the composition of space in electroacoustic music. Today I did my presentation here for this workshop, and I talked about experiences of improvisation within systems, that is, cases of free improvisation of improvisers that use closed or semi-closed environments, self-built sound sources, DIY devices, or prepared instruments, something that they build or restrict in advance to their live performance. So the question that underlined my whole presentation was is the difference between live improvisation within a system and a composition. So is this live improvisation an activation of the system? And if it is so, what is the difference between performing a composition, since the system is a form of composition?
The Borderscape improvisation workshop was a place where expert musicians, improvisers, young musicians, and also musicologists met in order to share their experience, reflections, and theoretical observations about the practice that has its roots in the electronic music from 50s and 60s, but today is more and more important in order to build relationships through sounds, but also through the sharing practice during the electroacoustic improvisation. What was your experience of this little journey?
I can say that for me, the instrument in electroacoustic improvisation, instrument is really very important because the instrument contribute very much to build the performer's identity. So the way I put things together, what I buy, what I build as an instrument, it's very important to build my identity as a performer. Some years ago, I launched this idea of building the discipline of ethnosonology, which could be very interesting to study the use every performer does of his or her instrument. And this is perhaps this is the first time this happens in music, because normally the improviser use standard instruments. So electroacoustic improvisations create also this great possibility of express our identity through building an instrument, to putting together an instrument, which is part of our music. Then we had the possibility yesterday to listen electroacoustic improvisation in a good sound quality environment, and this is very important because, in my opinion, speakers are part of the process.
My research is in interaction, feedback, and control, performative strategies, and distributed agency in electroacoustic improvisation. This work revisits some of the key concepts developed in my early work on improvisation in electronic music. The focus is on feedback. The interface and the space also influence the performance in active ways. This concept of distributed agencies means that all elements, human and not human, work together at the same level, at the center point. Even the sound becomes part of the co-creation of the music, through interactions that are not fully controlled by the performer. The electronic device becomes an influential environment. It doesn't just react, but also changes the condition of the performance in real time. Because of this, the performers must constantly adapt.
During these days, I mean, from the theoretical point of view, before coming here, I would have agreed with Francesco for the importance of the relationship of the improviser with his instrument and the agency that the instrument, and so on and so forth, you know, everything that we've read many times. But seeing the rehearsals, the three kind of rehearsals, I think I saw three different ways of establishing a relationship between the people. Because what Walter did was really different than what you did. And I saw really two opposite ways of establishing a relationship between peoples. That, at the end, reflected very well in the way, in the sound. In the way the sound melted or not melted. So it was much more a question of relationship between the four people and establishing a typology, a methodology of having a relationship. Art is in the process, not the product. Well, I thought the concert was not the main goal of it, but the process of becoming of a group of people that had an interrelationship with the other, listened to each other, and so on. So that was my two thoughts about it.
Okay. Tom?
We four musicians are with a very rich language. Each of us can play very good solo, but that's also our challenge, that we need to always find the right thing from a very big pool. And I'm very glad that we did it. And it's also my first time to improvise with live coder and modular synthesizers. Before I came here, I have a very good friend who's doing live code, and we always think about to play together, but we feel like maybe it's not possible. Because I've seen how she interacts with other live coder, and I feel like maybe it's difficult to answer with each other with something which is not live coding. And this time I've seen this possibility. We can still take this as a mindset to influence each other.
Okay, we have time for the last question. Leo?
Oh, thank you, Lizzie. I was thinking about gesture and as a form of communication, as you said, no? Not only in order to produce music, but to communicate to the audience other. No? And I was thinking about maybe we could add a constraint as something very connected to gesture. Technology added a lot of opportunities from the beginning, like the synthesizer add new possibilities of sound. So if we see an acoustic instrument, instead there are a lot of constraints. Instead, in many digital instruments, there are almost no constraint, because you can change the sounds and samples and okay. So my question is, could this constraint parameter could be added to the gesture system?
I don't think the term constraint is good for digital because the characteristic of digital things is it's not tools or it's not instrument. It's a meta instrument. It's an instrument to create instrument. And this is why there is no constraint. Of course, there are constraints of computing limits, of course, but it's, you can create very different instruments, of course.
This morning I was a bit surprised when we were talking about adrenaline rush of the unexpected, because actually my approach, especially with this instrument, is to learn how to be passive and is to learn how to let it go. Because I'm a pretty action-oriented person, I'm pretty impulsive, but with this instrument I can do the opposite, so just plug some cables and then just wait. And you know, and that is very formative for me as well outside music. So this is, I see that's because I see improvisation as a really important relationship training besides music. It's to me it's an ethic. Then I think it's a great lesson.
So it was quite interesting yesterday because the way he proposed us to work was really just to have some form of not pre-agreed musical handshake. So the confrontation at the beginning was quite interesting also for me, because also with the system I have prepared, basically I do the opposite of what he does because I use lots of reverbs and flows and stuff. So it was interesting also to modify our instruments yesterday, in parallel. So we all of us went in each other's directions, more or less, but without actually agreeing on it verbally, but just with paying very close attention to what everyone is doing, and it's an exciting workflow for me as well.
I decided to build this because it's easier for me to understand music with movement, I think. An easy way to think about playing something was like with my movements. So I just find myself listen to the other, but also see how they move their hands in the object they are touching. And I try to, in some way, dance with their hands while they're playing. I found myself yesterday listening more than playing, and I think it was really helpful for me. I will try to play a little bit more, maybe, or maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, this is how I'm playing, dancing with my hand.
Now, here in this conference, I'm presenting new research, my last research on analysis of gestures, and especially gestures in electronic music improvisation, and how they realize their musical idea in the creation of their instrument first, and after in the performance. With their music, with the development of their musical, what we call musical world, their musical style of improvisation.
I wonder if you ever thought about gesture as an algorithm, because I believe that instead of some kind of bodily or embodiment of the movement and the visual explanation of the gesture, I think algorithm and, as you said, snippets and the light coding part makes the gesture, and also the thinking, as you said before, this algorithm create the gesture and, that you can manipulate in time and maybe in the performance.
For me, it's a problem. It's because, of course, in artificial intelligence, we, in all moments, we associate the algorithm of artificial intelligence to the function of the brain. But in reality, it's very different. And the activity of the human, gestures, thinking, it's a very complex element. And you see, of course, you see the effective gesture, but behind there are a lot of things. And all these things, it's not possible to explain that through the algorithm or to convert through the algorithm.
Today, I would like to try to sharpen my research question by dwelling on some relationships that I think are important. The aim of the lecture is to interrogate the relationship dynamics that occur among electronic, electroacoustic, and live-coder improvisers, focusing on the physical and sonic interaction between different bodies, including both human and non-human entities. The importance of the role of the body, or rather the role of the bodies, at least the body of the performer, of the instrument, and the body of the audience too, during an improvisation is becoming increasingly clear to scholars of improvisational phenomena, whatever the perspective and aim of the research. Improvisation is an environment inhabited by bodies responding to impulses, to gesture, sound, action of the other, and communicating through action-reaction patterns. The body is an element to be questioned in order to understand and describe the music making of the performer as an individual and in a collective. Already in the workshop, we saw how many possibilities of setups, devices, and interfaces there are. Each performer represents a different and original ecosystem.
Specifically, today I would like to present 3 tools and concepts that I have deduced from my studies over the years and applied several times. Namely, the concept of the sound gestures, the concept of repertoire, and the spunto situation system. Over the years, I found the idea of sound as gestures to be a recurring theme in conversations with musicians. While the concept appears across various fields, for example, cinema to music education, there seems to be a shared understanding. Sound is deeply connected to physical gestures and can itself be as a gesture enacted by the musician.
My research is a comparative study between 2 apparently very different musical practices. I tried to sketch some kind of similarities between the 2. And this is the most important point, in my opinion. That is, when I see this performance, I ask to myself, what kind of performance is this? Is live coding? Not so much. Is conducted improvised music? Maybe, but there is no gestures here, no clear. Yeah, there is maybe a conductor that is the live coder, but so I asked myself to go deeper. As you have seen, in live coding, there is not a direct action on sound by the performer, because there is the filter of programming language, of course. Also, the relationship between the body and the performance change, because, of course, you don't have direct action on the sound. You have to delegate the production of sound to something else.
As a live coder, I have been improvising for many years, and improvisation has given me a lot of tools to relate to people in different ways in my life, in ways that allow people to intervene. I don't want to dominate all the time, even if I am in a role that expects some leadership from me. I try to bring this leadership, to distribute the leadership among the people I'm in relation with. And in this case, with the students, it was wonderful because that's exactly what we did. I was in charge, let's say, so I did my best to create a safe space in which they could express themselves, and little by little we will distributing this leadership in a very natural way. So this is a very good thing when you practice improvisation, that you learn to listen to each other and give space to each other. I really think every musician should at least engage with improvisation a bit, because it allows a lot of freedom and agency and respect for each other.
I really resonate with what Alexandra was saying before about using improvisation as a space for freedom away from some constraints. And so this week was really helpful to me, starting from the lectures from our personal rehearsals and assisting the others, because I saw many different ways to talk and do improvisation that I was not aware of, because it has been always like just a personal practice. And seeing this like materialized in so different ways, like really opened my mind about it and thinking, wow, there are so many ways to do it.
I come from the cosmetic world, and in my practice, I conceive things as writing with the membrane of the speaker. So I tend to see things in matters of worlds that are permeating. So the Borderscape in title was very appealing because it had this idea of things like flowing into each other. My personal expectations were that my instruments would fail, probably, but they didn't. So, what did I write? I took some notes, but my acousmatic practice comes very much from phonography, like field recording. And in this matter, there's the great difficulty to separate the effect of the recording operator and the reality of the perceived sound that the audience will get. To have a trace of and the separated trace is really super important, because I think I won't listen to it like right now, but probably in a month I will get to it, and then first as an ensemble thing, and then effectively go into my part in relationship to the others and see how my instruments can be improved.
For Walter, can you teach improvisation? Or, in other words, what is your function here?
But to give some input, but not necessarily musical input, but just to have, for example, awareness or respect or listening. Any musician can have a different way to have an idea of improvisation. All the instrument, all the setup create just one instrument. And so it's necessary to have the same way just to think. And so we can have a lot of kind of improvisation, a lot of attitude to improvise. And I would like to save everyone.
I'm curious. So you said that you don't say anything before the session, but you discuss a little after the session, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you happy? How do you feel? No, I'm not feeling bad. Okay, so we try again. Okay. Because the only goal is to be happy. It's very difficult to be happy in general. Yeah. We try now.
I enjoyed it. It was amazing for me. Like, these 3 days were really interesting for me. And I feel like I came here, as you know, without knowing anything about music and improvisation or all. And yeah, I'm really proud of what I did. And not about the tool that I made, because it's not about that, but the way that I approach to the subject and the way I understand it in some way, you know? But at the same time, during the workshop with you three, I understood that improvisation is not about there is not right and wrong. So it's like, if I fuck it, it's gonna be fine. Even about the conversation we had yesterday and what you say about the errors, there is no errors. And the first day, I put it in my mind, I'm not gonna do an error because it's not possible to do it. And this was really, you three showed me this a lot, and this was really nice for me.
the concert was an opportunity to build a new space between the three quartets, but also with the audience that attended the final rehearsal, because it wasn't meant as a concert, even if the tension because of the audience is different. And also the sonic material changed in an important way.